Zipporah, the divine woman who miraculously saved Moses' life and transformed Israel's fate. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the land echoed with the cries of the oppressed, for the Israelites languished in Egypt, crushed under the weight of Pharaoh's decree. Generations of their forefathers had labored under the relentless sun, their backs bent and hearts heavy, longing for liberation. In a place far removed from their plight, in the land of Midian, there lived Zipporah, daughter of Jethro, a priest. She was, unbeknownst to her, destined to play a pivotal role in the divine tapestry of salvation. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows over the rugged terrain, a fugitive named Moses stumbled upon the wells of Midian, weary from his flight. With heart pounding and breath shallow, he beheld the sight of Jethro's daughters drawing water for their father's flock. In that moment, 2 worlds collided. The oppressive silence of Egypt clashed with the gentle sounds of Midian. He intervened, defending the daughters from the shepherds who sought to drive them away, offering comfort in an otherwise chaotic existence. Observing the courageous stranger, Zipporah's heart stirred with curiosity and intrigue. With Jethro's blessings, Moses became her husband, and together they forged a life of simplicity and love. Yet, beneath the tranquil surface of Midian lay the burdens of a forgotten people. The cries of Israel echoed in the ear of the Almighty, stirring his heart toward action. In the solitude of the desert, God prepared Moses for a monumental destiny. Years passed, and as Moses tended the sheep upon the craggy hills, something extraordinary transpired. There, amidst the arid landscape, he encountered a bush ablaze but not consumed. It was the voice of God, profound and commanding, drawing Moses into a sacred conversation. "I have seen the affliction of my people," proclaimed the Lord, commissioning him to confront Pharaoh and liberate Israel from bondage. Yet even as the divine calling enveloped him, fear gripped Moses like a vice, a tempest of uncertainty swirling within. Upon returning home, he stood at the threshold of his life with Zipporah, the weight of divine purpose pressing upon his shoulders. But darkness loomed. God sought to kill him due to the neglect of the sacred covenant, circumcision for their son. The air grew thick with tension as Moses faced the wrath of divine judgment. In a moment laden with urgency, Zipporah, fierce and resolute, took matters into her own hands. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. In the dim light of their dwelling, she seized a flint knife, her heart pounding with resolve. The shadows danced ominously on the cave walls, echoing the gravity of her choice. With deft hands, she performed the sacred rite and applied the blood to Moses' feet, crying out in unwavering faith, "Surely you are a blood husband to me." The night crackled with divine intensity, a moment that would seal their fates and set into motion the deliverance of Israel. Yet how the Lord would weave these threads of faith, courage, and sacrifice into his grand design remained cloaked in divine mystery. The future stretched before Zipporah like an uncharted path, filled with challenges yet unseen. What trials would lie ahead? Would her brave act serve as a catalyst for Israel's liberation, or merely a prelude to a deeper struggle? The moon cast its silvery light over Midian as the tapestry of destiny began to unfurl, awaiting the next divine revelation. Then as the dawn stretched its fingers across the horizon, illuminating the rugged landscape, Moses awoke to a new day that felt charged with purpose. The weight of his recent encounter simmered within him, for how could he ignore the voice of the Almighty beckoning him forth? The air was thick with expectation, and the Lord had ignited a flame in his heart that could not be easily extinguished. Moses stood before Zipporah, his eyes reflecting the turmoil and resolve wrestling within. "I must return to Egypt," he said, his voice steady yet tremulous with the gravity of his purpose. "The Lord has sent me to save his people from bondage." Zipporah's brow furrowed with concern, But Moses, they will chase you as a fugitive. Pharaoh's heart is hardened and your life will be at stake. Have you counted the cost of this divine calling?" Her words echoed the fears lodged deep within him, yet there was a fierceness in her spirit that fortified his own. "The Lord said unto me, Surely I will be with you. I cannot turn away from this mission," he replied, his tone resolute. With a heavy heart, Zipporah clasped her husband's hands in hers, fortifying him with silent prayers. She knew that God had chosen Moses not only for his strength, but for his heart, and that God's plans extended beyond their understanding. In due time, Moses embarked upon the arduous journey back to Egypt with a staff in hand, the symbol of divine power and authority. Accompanying him was Aaron, his brother, having received the call of the Lord to assist him. Together they traversed the desert, the landscape barren yet heavy with the promise of what lay ahead. Upon reaching Egypt, they entered the court of Pharaoh, the very heart of oppression and might, where the air was rich with pride and arrogance. As they stood before the throne, the opulence of Pharaoh's palace bordered on the divine, yet his heart remained stone. "Moses," Aaron urged softly, "the Lord commanded us to let his people go that they may serve him." With unwavering faith, Moses stepped forward, his voice echoing in the vast chamber. "Thus says the Lord God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness." Pharaoh regarded the two intruders with disdain, a smile creeping upon his lips. "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice? I know not the Lord, nor will I let Israel go." In that moment, a hush fell over the court, a heavy weight of defiance emerging against the divine authority. Moses felt that the weight of Israel's cries surged heaviest within him, igniting the sacred embers of divine fury. "What follows shall be a testament to God's power, that all may see his hand of deliverance," he declared boldly. And thus the Lord set in motion a series of plagues that would resonate throughout the land, signs and wonders directed against the gods of Egypt, leaving no doubt of his sovereignty. As the first signs of that divine confrontation manifested, Zipporah remained in Midian, her heart aching with love, worry, and the unwavering knowledge that God's purpose wrapped tightly around their family. She lifted prayers for protection over Moses, sowing seeds of hope into the very air around her. But unknown to her, a deeper layer of God's plan unveiled itself. For though Moses would face great strife and conflict, the cries of Israel would rise until they pierced the heavens, and new paths of redemption would form. How the Lord would ultimately bring liberation remained shrouded in mystery, yet every act of obedience would draw them closer to the fulfillment of his mighty covenant. What transformation awaited the heart of Pharaoh, and what would be the cost of freedom? Only in the advancing shadows of God's purpose would the answers emerge, as the story of redemption beckoned ever forward. As the sun ascended over Egypt, a fire burned anew in Moses' heart, driven by a divine mandate that now reverberated through his very being. With Aaron at his side, Moses returned to Pharaoh's court, where the air was thick with tension and a heavy silence wrapped around them like a shroud. Moses spoke again, the authority of the Lord resonating in his words. "The God of the Hebrews has sent me to you, saying, Let my people go, that they may serve me. If you refuse to let them go, behold, the hand of the Lord will strike with great plagues upon your land." Pharaoh scoffed, his heart hardened. "Why should I heed the words of a God I do not know? Let your people remain in their servitude." With each word exchanged, the scales of divine judgment tipped closer to the brink. Unyielding, Moses raised his staff, a testament to the power that backed him, and struck the waters of the Nile. In an instant, the river turned to blood, the fish died, and the stench of decay filled the air. The people of Egypt trembled at the onset of this horrific sign. "A plea to the gods of Egypt," they cried, as they desperately sought answers from priests and magicians. Yet none could reverse the hand of God, yet Pharaoh remained unmoved. "Let them suffer," he yelled defiantly, his heart sealed against the truth. The plagues continued, showcasing the mighty hand of God, overwhelming the wisdom of Egypt's sorcery. Frogs poured forth from the river, invading homes and lands. Gnats and flies followed, tormenting the people. But still the heart of Pharaoh did not relent. Meanwhile, in the distant lands of Midian, Zipporah felt the tremors of what God was doing. Night and day she prayed for Moses and all of Israel. Her heart was stitched with worry, yet buoyed by hope, for deep down, through every trial and every plague unleashed upon Egypt, she believed in the promise of God's deliverance. Days turned into weeks, and as the plagues ravaged Egypt, the cries of the Israelites grew louder in the night, mingling with the countless prayers of Zipporah and the faithfulness of her husband. Every declaration of the Lord was a step closer to freedom, a divine orchestration unfolding through suffering. As the land lay in despair, God spoke anew to Moses. "I will bring one final plague upon Egypt. At midnight I will go out into the midst of Egypt, and every firstborn in the land shall die." A shudder coursed through Moses, but he received this news with obedience, knowing that it was through this last act of judgment that Pharaoh's heart would finally shatter. The Lord prepared a way for his people, saying, "You shall take a lamb without blemish, a male of the first year, and keep it until the 14th day of the month. Then the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it at twilight." Moses understood. This act would mark the beginning of a new covenant, a sign of the future redemption through the blood. Fear and anticipation tangled in Moses' spirit, for as he communicated this instruction to the people, he knew that they were on the brink of profound transformation. They would mark their doorposts, and through obedience, the angel of death would pass over them. Yet the mystery of God's plan lingered. How could such a sacrificial act pave the way for the deliverance of a nation? What covenant would unfold through the blood of the Lamb? These questions lay heavy in the air as Moses looked toward the captives' chains, and the promise of liberation flickered like a flame ready to engulf the darkness. The time was drawing near where God's promise would become reality, a testament of his faithfulness echoed throughout the generations. Moses gathered the elders of Israel, his heart brimming with both trepidation and resolve. "Hear me, my brethren," he proclaimed, the gravity of the moment pressing upon him. "This night the Lord shall visit Egypt, and in his wake lies the destiny of our people. Each household must take a lamb, pure and unblemished, and you shall slay it at twilight. With its blood you will mark the doorposts and lintels of your homes, that the angel of death may pass over you." A murmur of fear rippled through the assembly as they comprehended the weight of Moses' words. In unity, they latched onto the hope embedded within his instruction. "We shall obey," they echoed, a chorus of voices raised in fervor and faith, each spirit ignited with the promise of deliverance. Meanwhile, in the darkness of Egypt, Pharaoh remained blind to the cries of his oppressed subjects, his heart like granite against the storm that brewed. Even as his land suffered, pride blinded him to the only path to release. Confident in his might, he dismissed the warnings. Yet rumors began to swirl through the courtyards of his palace, tales of despair that whispered of impending doom. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the atmosphere grew thick with uncertainty. Families, trembling yet resolute, prepared for the sacred act instructed by Moses. Lamps flickered to life, casting shadows that danced across the walls as mothers and fathers gathered their children close. They sacrificed their lambs, the heart-wrenching cries mingling with the smell of roasted meat, a raw appeal to the heavens for redemption and freedom. In homes marked by blood, the Spirit of God moved silently, destined to fulfill his covenant promise. Yet outside, the cries echoed louder as the spirit of dread slipped through the cracks of every unmarked door, a testimony of the Lord's divine proclamation. The final act of judgment was drawing near. At the stroke of midnight, as the shadow of deep night clung to the earth, the angel of the Lord swept through the land of Egypt. In every home, untouched by the blood, the firstborn fell, the wails of grief and terror igniting a frantic reality. Pharaoh arose, his heart shattered, now fully aware of the might of the God he refused to acknowledge. "Rise, take your people and go," he cried in desperation, the weight of fate pressing upon him, the chains of denial crumbling. The Israelites, awakened by tragedy and hope, poured forth from their homes, their hearts aflame with freedom's promise. They gathered their belongings, hastily preparing for the exodus that had long been foretold. At that moment, Zipporah, far from Egypt, knelt in prayer, her heart entwined with Moses and the cries of her people. "Lord," she whispered fervently, "may your mighty hand deliver the children of Israel from their bondage." A holy peace washed over her spirit, for she sensed that the tapestry of God's plan was weaving itself towards ultimate deliverance. The dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of crimson and gold, a testament to the sacrifice made and the blood that secured salvation. As families emerged from their homes, the air filled with a jubilant crescendo. At last, they were free. Yet as they stepped into their new dawn, uncertainty lingered. What lay ahead for Israel, a nation born anew in the crucible of suffering? The questions of tomorrow hung heavy in their hearts, yet one truth stood firm: they were no longer slaves. Amid their exodus, a new mystery unfurled in the horizon. God's promise of a land flowing with milk and honey awaited them, a covenant yet to be fulfilled. What would this new journey reveal? How would the God who delivered them continue to guide his people? The road lay ahead, and with it came the whisper of God's orchestration, echoing in their hearts and spirits. The time had come for God's promise to unfold, igniting a new chapter in the story of his chosen. As the sun rose over the horizon, a new day bore the weight of freedom and uncertainty. The Israelites surged forth carrying their unleavened bread, their hearts racing with the thrill of liberation, while shadowed by the fear of the unknown. Their path lay before them like a scroll unrolled, yet the journey promised to be fraught with trials unseen. Moses led the throng, his staff in hand, a tangible reminder of God's command. Each step resonated with the heavy truth of their deliverance, as the remembrance of the night of judgment lingered in their hearts. The air was alive with anticipation, echoes of laughter mingling with the soft murmurs of prayer. Blessed be the Lord who has freed us from bondage. As they marched, however, there arose a clamor in the distance. The drums of Egypt began to beat anew, a furious pursuit ignited by Pharaoh's rage. "What have we done?" he bellowed in his palace, disbelief staining his brow. "To let their God lead them away. Prepare my chariots." His heart remained blind, roused only by pride and defiance against the divine. Moses, undeterred by the sight of the fleeing army behind him, turned to the people. "Do not fear, stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord." Confidence surged in his voice like the rising tide, for he remembered God's promise that he would fight for them. As they reached the edge of the Red Sea, an urgency settled over the camp. The vast waters rose high before them, an insurmountable barrier against their flight. The cries of despair echoed among the people, mixing with the thundering sound of approaching hooves. "Did you bring us here to die?" they lamented, voices quaking with fear. But Moses lifted his eyes unto the heavens. "Lord, what is the plan?" And there the Lord spoke to him, saying, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, and my people shall walk on dry land." With obedience, Moses raised his staff. The winds of heaven parted the waters, revealing a path that shimmered beneath the sun. As the waves stood tall like a wall, a miraculous vision opening before them. With faith igniting courage, the people surged forward into the depths of the sea. Every step through the rushing forest of water was a testament to their trust in the God who delivered. "He is our refuge and strength," they proclaimed, bolstered by memories of his promises. From the rear, Pharaoh's chariots thundered behind them, the king's fury unquenched as the soldiers followed, driven by a heart unwilling to let go. Yet as the remnant of Israel crossed onto the dry land, the Lord's hand moved once more. "The waters shall return," he commanded, and the waves crashed back upon the Egyptian warriors, consuming them in a righteous act of judgment. An awe-inspiring silence fell across the shores, and the Israelites turned to witness the waters engulf their pursuers. "The Lord has triumphed gloriously," they sang, their voices rising in unity, gratitude spilling forth as they celebrated. Miriam took up her timbrel, leading the women, their voices lifted in praise, for the God of their fathers had fought for them. In the distance, amid the echoes of joy, the heart of Zipporah remained steadfast, compelled by the faith she had nurtured through prayer. "Lord," she declared, "you have wrought miracles beyond our understanding." A gentle whisper flowed into her spirit, mysteries unveiled to those who believe. "I shall gather your people and teach them to trust in your ways, for even now your plan unfolds," she vowed, her heart ignited by divine purpose. As joy erupted, the winds of destiny whispered anew. What awaited this people so freshly freed? What trials would forge their faith? The story of their journey had only just begun, a holy covenant intertwined with hope lingering in the air, beckoning with the promise of the land flowing with milk and honey, and the echo of God's sovereign hand guiding their steps forward into all he has destined. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang this song to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider he has thrown into the sea. The waves fell still as they paused in wonder at the might of their God. Miracles had unfolded before them. The depths of their hearts now overflowed with faith. The Lord is my strength and my song, they proclaimed, and he has become my salvation. Exodus 15:1-2. With every beat of the tambourine Miriam led, the women joined in song, their voices rising into the heavens, a sweet offering of praise. Sing to the Lord, he is exalted, they rejoiced, their spirits lifted as they stood upon the shore of deliverance. But even as joy flowed freely, Moses turned his face toward the wilderness, where uncharted paths loomed ahead. As the celebration dissolved into reverence, Moses summoned the elders of Israel, beckoning them to gather. We have witnessed the hand of God, he spoke, his voice steady, marked by the weight of authority. He has not only delivered us, he will guide us through the trials that lie ahead. The elders nodded, yet within their eyes flickered a shadow of anxiety. But are we ready, Moses? The wilderness is vast and hunger awaits. An unearthly silence enveloped them, broken only by the distant sound of drums echoing in their memories. Moses lifted his staff toward the heavens. The Lord will provide, he declared, words echoing the heart of promise that led them forth. And at that moment, the cloud of glory descended, enveloping them in its presence, a visible testament of God's guidance. Then the Lord spoke to Moses. The time of trials is upon them. They will thirst and hunger, yet I will show them my power and my provision. Vows exchanged and faith ignited. The faithful began their journey, the sun blazing overhead, the dry ground beneath their feet adorned with the remnants of their passage. Days turned into weeks, the path grew narrow, and the whispered doubts of the people began to weave through the camp like a dark mist. Would God truly sustain us? They murmured. Have we been led here to perish? It was in these moments of uncertainty that Zipporah, ever steadfast, drew near. She gathered the women, their faces lined with worry. Fear not, for the Lord cares for us, she reminded them, her voice like a soothing balm. He who parted the sea will also fill our depths with living water. Trust in his plans, for he has not forsaken us. Yet brewing storms of discontent thickened the air, tilting the hearts of the faithful. It was then that clamor came forth in the camp. The sound of complaint echoed as they longed for the flesh pots of Egypt. We remember the fish we ate freely in Egypt, they lamented. But here we starve. Moses fell to his knees, anguish shadowing his face. Lord, how can I bear this people? He cried, remembering the weariness of leading hearts that hungered for comfort rather than faith. Then the Lord answered him, I will rain down bread from heaven for you. Each day the people shall go out and gather sufficient for the day. Exodus 16:4. His promise stood firm as a mighty mountain, echoing through time, not only for Israelites, but for every heart steeped in fear. In that sacred moment a newer glory marked their path, divine assurance resting upon the shoulders of the weary. And as the sun sank low, the evening breeze carried the sweet scent of manna upon the horizon. For even now, amidst their trials, God was weaving a tapestry of faith and hope, his sovereignty training them to trust in his unfailing provision. But what further trials awaited this chosen people? What sovereign plan was unfolding beneath the veil of heaven? The anticipation grew heavy in the air, for they had barely begun to see all that the Lord in his mercy had destined for them. As the morning sun broke over the encampment, the people of Israel stirred, their eyes heavy with weariness and the lingering taste of night's discontent. The air, once alive with joyous praise, now felt heavy with the burden of unfulfilled hunger. Yet, as the dawn unfurled its light, the promise of the Lord echoed within the heart of Moses. Gather ye, he summoned the people with authority, for today the Lord shall provide. With expectant hearts they emerged, casting off their doubts like leaves shed in autumn. They moved as one, drawn to the open ground where the dew clung to the earth. Upon this day, the clouds above swelled with promise, and as Moses directed, The command of the Lord resounded with divine clarity. At twilight you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread. Exodus 16:12. Thus it was that the great divine provision began. As dusk fell, the quail descended from the heavens, a miraculous gift unfurling like a canopy over the camp. Excitement ignited among the people as they gathered the fowl in delight. Their laughter rang through the crisp air, a sound of joy mingled with disbelief at the tangible evidence of God's mercy. Yet even in fullness, the whispers of discontent continued to weave through the hearts of some. "What is this manna?" they questioned, hazarding glances at the small flake-like substance that lay upon the ground. The taste of it was sweet like honey, and yet it bore only a fragment of the richness they had savored in Egypt. "Our souls are weary from this bread," they fretted, missing the flavor of what was once familiar. One among them stood firm against the tide of complaint, Zipporah, the wife of Moses, exuding strength as she approached the women of the camp. "Listen to me," she urged passionately. "This is the bread of heaven. Do not despise what the Lord has provided." Her steadfastness caught their attention, for her eyes shone with the light of unwavering faith. "What we gather shall sustain us for the journey ahead. The Lord tests our spirits and tempers us as gold is refined." Her words were a balm to the restless hearts, infused with the spirit of assurance that they were in His hands, crafted for purpose. For Zipporah understood that this was more than mere sustenance. It was a training ground for a people destined to inherit the promise, the land flowing with milk and honey. As days turned into weeks, they found rhythm in their gathering, learning to collect only what was needed for each day, thus teaching them reliance upon the God who orchestrated their every step. The cycle of divine provision grew to foster unity, binding hearts together in shared experience of trust. But then, on an evening thick with tension, the clouds that once presided over their sustenance began to shift ominously. A roar of wind swept through the camp, heralding a call to vigilance. "The Amalekites approach!" shouted Joshua, the commander of their men, his voice cutting through their peaceful reverie. Fear washed over the encampment, but Moses stood resolute. "Tomorrow I shall stand on the hill with the rod of God in my hand." Exodus 17:9. The people turned their gaze to Moses, whose unwavering faith began to quell their fears. "The Lord will fight for us even as He has provided for our needs," he declared, his heart echoing the promise held in the depths of his soul. Thus it was that the people prepared for battle, their bodies filled with quail and the bread of heaven, yet their spirits stirred to defend the promise of deliverance. As they readied themselves, the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue over the valley, where the fate of Israel hung in the balance. But what further trials awaited them in this wilderness journey? What lessons lay ahead, written in the release of divine might? With every step forward, the heart of God thumped loudly in the tapestry of their destiny. The continued unveiling of His sovereign plan persisted, fueling their hope amid an uncertain future. As dawn cast its first light over the horizon, a profound stillness gripped the camp of Israel. The people stirred fitfully in the wake of the night's resolve, their hearts wrestling with the weight of expectation. Anxiety laced with whispers of courage filled the air as they prepared to face the oncoming threat. Joshua rallied the men, steeling their resolve for an impending conflict. Moses, lifted by the spirit of confidence that flowed from the Lord, entered the sacred space designated for prayer. Alone before the Almighty, he knelt, the weight of the rod heavy in his hand. "O Lord," he implored, "you who have led us through the wilderness, give strength to your people this day." The sunlight poured through the branches above, bathing him in golden radiance, as if heaven itself was responding to his cry. Meanwhile, at the edge of the encampment, Zipporah observed the men preparing for battle. Her heart ached for their bravery, and yet she sensed a deeper call upon her own spirit. "I will go to my husband," she resolved, for her faith was not merely a comfort, it was an action awaiting the Lord's command. She approached Moses with conviction, her eyes alight with the fervor of a faithful helper. "Moses," she said, her voice steady yet urgent, "God has shown you His might, and now He shall display His glory through you. Remember, the battle is His, yet He has made us partakers in His victory." Moses, filled with fire from her words, rose from prayer. The courage that flowed from her presence stoked the flames of resolve within him. "Come with me to the hill, Zipporah," he beckoned, feeling emboldened to face this trial alongside his wife. Together they ascended to the summit, the rod of God poised in Moses' hand, a symbol of the covenant between God and his chosen people. As Moses stood upon the hill, the winds shifted, and the sound of the approaching Amalekite army grew louder, a foreboding drum echoing their hostility. But the faith of Moses stirred the hearts of Israel below. He raised the rod high, and the remembrance of the Lord's past deliverance surged through him, igniting the hearts of the people. Even as the Amalekites advanced, the vision of God's promise hung heavy in the air. The battle erupted upon the valley floor, and as the clashing swords rang out, Moses' hands grew weary. Every time his hands lowered, the tide shifted against them, and fear crept back into the hearts of the warriors. "Hold firm!" shouted Joshua, witnessing the unfolding struggle. It was then that Zipporah sensed the urgency and turned to the women of the camp, rallying them. "Let us lift Moses' hands in prayer, for our strength lies in unity." The women clasped their hands together, their spirits igniting like flames fueled by hope. "O God of Israel, grant our men victory and our children safety," they prayed in unison, their voices rising toward the heavens. The power of their supplication joined the effort on the battlefield, and as the men of Israel fought, a light shone upon Moses. With new resolve, Zipporah and another woman, Miriam, approached Moses, each grasping a hand, lifting them towards the skies. The sight filled the hearts of the Israelites. Moses' hands, upheld by faithful hearts, mirrored the might of God. And as the sun dipped lower, the tide of battle shifted with force, and the Amalekite men began to falter. In a profound moment, as the Lord delivered his people, a deep realization settled upon Moses. The multitude was not merely fighting for survival, they were being woven into the fabric of his divine story. God's purpose was to shape them, to tenderly lead them toward an identity grounded in faith and resilience. As the battle drew to a close and the cries of victory echoed, a new thought arose within Moses. What other trials await us in this journey, Lord? The air buzzed with promise, yet uncertainty lingered near the horizon. They had witnessed the manifestation of God's power, yet it was clear that this was but the beginning, a mere chapter in his unfolding saga of salvation. What greater divine plan awaited them in the wilderness? A cloud of mystery loomed, thick with revelation yet to arrive. The pages of history were turning, and amid the dust and praise one could sense the approach of God's ultimate purpose, waiting, as it always had, to be unveiled within the hearts of his people. As the sun sank low and shadows lengthened over the battlefield, a great cheer erupted from the camp of Israel, reverberating with the sound of triumph. For the Amalekites had been defeated, their daring charge turned into retreat by the hands of the faithful. Joshua stood amidst the clamoring men, a banner of victory held high above his head, the echoes of their praise resounding like a chorus of redemption. But for Moses, the weight of the moment bore heavily upon his spirit. He gazed out over the valley where the dust of battle mingled with the whispers of hope. "O God," he murmured, feeling the sting of weariness in his bones, "what shall we do now? We have seen your mighty hand today, yet our journey is far from over." In that moment, a profound silence enveloped him, as if heaven paused to answer the question burning within him. It was then that Zipporah, witnessing her husband's contemplation, approached him, her heart echoing with understanding. "Moses," she spoke gently, "you have led the people through the crucible of difficulty. God has ordained victory for today. Yet even in glory let us not lose sight of our calling. The wilderness awaits, and with it, trials we have not yet faced." Moses turned to her, the fervor of her faith igniting his spirit anew. "You are right, my beloved. The Lord has brought us thus far, yet he remains unchanging. He is not finished with us." As dusk settled into night, the people gathered around Moses, eyes gleaming with gratitude and trepidation. They spoke of the battle, of the mighty showing of God's arm, and wonder painted their faces. Amid this, Moses felt a stirring within him, a call to direct their hearts towards the one who fought for them. "Listen, O Israel," he proclaimed, his voice vibrating with conviction. "Today you have seen that our God is a warrior. He has fought for us and has delivered us from our foes. Remember this day, for it is not just physical strength that has won the battle, but the faith that was lifted in prayer." A murmur ran through the crowd, many recalling how the cries of the women had joined with their cries for help. "We must build an altar," Moses instructed, "and offer to him our thanks. Let it be a reminder of his unfailing faithfulness and a beacon to guide us through the wilderness ahead." With fervent hearts they set to work, gathering stones and stacks of earth to raise an altar unto the Lord. Each stone became a testament, every mud clod a symbol of divine intervention. As the altar rose, Moses named it Jehovah Nissi, meaning, "The Lord is my banner." Yet as they celebrated this momentous victory, an overshadowing concern lurked within Moses' heart. He spoke with Joshua, sharing his vision of what lay ahead. "Though we are victorious now, the Amalekites will not rest. They shall regroup, ever determined to oppose us. We must prepare for the days to come, days of testing and trials." Joshua nodded, the weight of leadership upon him. "We will remain vigilant, for our God is with us. Yet, what more shall we learn in this journey?" And as the last rays of sunlight faded into night, a deep whisper swept through the air. A promise hidden within uncertainty, a future uncharted holding within it both peril and hope. "For every enemy that arises, I shall raise a standard. But wait, there is more yet to come." The people murmured softly, their hearts stirred at the prospect of what awaited them. Little did they know, the encampment of the Israelites stood upon the precipice of greatness, journeys unmeasured, a purpose yet revealed. What further wonders awaited this chosen people, and how would God's sovereign plan unfold in the wilderness that lay before them? As the dawn of a new day broke over the encampment, the people of Israel stirred with renewed hope and purpose. The sun rose like a divine proclamation, casting golden rays across their faces, illuminating their hearts that longed for God's guidance. They had tasted victory, yet uncertainty loomed ahead, a wilderness of trials stretching out like an uncharted sea before them. Moses, filled with the embers of God's faithfulness, gathered the people at the edge of their camp. "Hear me, O Israel. The Lord, who has fought for us and delivered us from our enemies, desires to lead us into the promised land. Though we traverse through wilderness, our God shall go before us, and his presence shall be our guide." With hearts aligned in faith, they responded in unison, "Amen, we shall follow where he leads." In that moment, the weight of Moses' leadership bore down heavier than ever. Yet Zipporah, ever his steadfast support, stepped forward. "Moses," she spoke with conviction, her voice ringing with clarity, "the Lord has equipped us with faith and courage for the journey ahead. Let us not falter in our trust, even as uncertainties dance upon the horizon." Her words stirred the hearts of the Israelites, and they gathered in fervent prayer. "Lord, lead us with your light and strength through this wilderness, for we know that though we may wander, you are our faithful guide." The air filled with the sweet scent of surrender as their prayers ascended like fragrant incense into the heavens, resting gently upon the heart of God. Days passed into weeks, and as they traveled through harsh landscapes, the spirit of discontent crept among them anew. "What shall we eat?" they asked, weariness etched upon their faces. "We should have remained in Egypt, where we had plenty to eat." Whispers of despair arose like dust in the wind, threatening to steal the resolve of a people called to great purpose. Moses fell on his face before the Lord, pleading with fervent desperation, "O God, the weight of their despair burdens my heart. How can I lead them through the wilderness?" The Lord, ever faithful, answered him, saying, "I will rain down sustenance from the heavens. Each day I shall provide for my people, that they may learn to trust me fully." Thus he decreed to send manna upon the earth, a daily reminder of his provision. As the people gathered the manna each morning, the taste of honey and nourishment filled them with awe. "What is this?" they marveled. "The Lord has truly provided." Their hearts soared in gratitude, and they found joy in sharing the gifts bestowed upon them, each piece a holy morsel of God's grace. And yet, the relentless journey continued. The road was fraught with trials, and soon the people faced the enemy yet again. "The Amalekites approach," rang out a panicked voice, and once more fear threatened to engulf them. But Moses, encouraged by the Lord's promise, stood tall, wielding the rod of God. "Let us prepare for battle," he declared, the fire of God's Spirit igniting his soul. With each clash of swords upon swords, the Israelite warriors fought valiantly under the command of Joshua. Zipporah, witnessing their struggle, rallied the women, her heart ignited with purpose. "Lift your voices in prayer, for the Lord fights for us even now." As the prayers rose, Moses lifted his hands toward the sky, the rod of God firmly in his grasp. Victory belonged to the Lord, and with every moment of worship, the tide of the battle turned in favor of Israel. As the Amalekites scattered, a new resolve settled upon the hearts of the people. God was with them. Once again the people rejoiced, having witnessed the hand of God move among them. "He is our banner, the Lord has triumphed," they proclaimed, echoing the truth of God's fidelity in battle. Yet as they celebrated, Moses felt a tingle of unease within. And so he called to the gathering, "My brothers and sisters, let us prove faithful even in our times of triumph. For in times of celebration, we must not forget the lessons of trust and reliance on our great God." Day gave way to night, and under the starlit sky, Moses, filled with conviction, raised an altar, the Lord their banner, reminding them of the victories fought, forging memories intertwined with faith and the promise of what was yet to come. Zipporah moved amidst the crowd, celebrating the goodness of God and understanding her role more profoundly than before. With every prayer offered, with every act of service, she molded the hearts of her people, encouraging them to walk ever closer to the divine presence. "Remember this day," she urged those around her. "Let us never forget how the Lord has led us, how he tirelessly provides sustenance for our bodies and our souls." And as the days unfolded in a rhythm of trial and testimony, the Israelite community matured in trust. They marched forward in unity, hearts ignited by the promises of a land flowing with milk and honey. Their journey laid the groundwork for the generations that would follow. Now, dear friends, just as the Israelites were led into their purpose, your heart beckons toward divine destiny. Have you felt the urging of the Lord? You need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's Word, for His stories will transform your life as they have for thousands through time. Leave a like now to help spread God's Word through the algorithm. Your act of faith can touch many lives seeking truth in this dark world. Comment your spiritual reflections. How have these biblical stories impacted your faith? Together, let's reflect on the wonders God is doing in our lives. And do not wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends. Let them hear the truth of God's sovereignty and love, that they too might discover His mighty works. Stand firm, dear community. Our journey together is just beginning.